We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though the total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorite.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
Hey, I'm Alex White, and this is Sports by the Book. I am live from the South Point Hotel and Casino, as we always are, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. You can find us. We go through all of the day's action from the sports betting side, and then Football Frenzies on Friday, 12 to 2 p.m. with the bookmakers, Chris Andrews and Vinny. Make sure and check us out on the weekdays and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. I appreciate you being here with us today. Different looking show. We will not have Chris Andrews in studio. He'll join us later in the week, but we do have Jeff Parles to break down the games with me, what we saw over the weekend. We also have to talk about 2 NLDS baseball games we have going on tonight, and then we've got a Monday Night Football game I'm really looking forward to. After Jeff, we will have a special guest. Dennis Evans will join me to talk about Kansas City Chiefs, reporter in that area, covers all teams there in Kansas City. So looking forward to that as well. Should be a fun packed show. We're going to bring Jeff in now, and we're going to start with the NFL. Jeff, it was a wild day yesterday. I know a lot of people are hurting if they had certain teams for their survivor pick. I would say Arizona might have been the biggest heartbreak. What'd you take away from yesterday?
Well, we finally have some upsets. You have 3 teams that are 7 or more lose this week. Obviously, Rams lost Thursday. I'll get to the Cardinal game in a second, Alex. But what we saw last night in Western New York is really the biggest result of the day. where we have no more undefeated teams. Eagles go down early in the day against Denver, and then the Bills. I was floored at how that happened last night. New England wins as a plus 340 dog, as you see on the bottom of your screen here at the South Point, getting more than the touchdown all week. And Drake May outplayed Josh Allen last night. Drake May was phenomenal, and that was really the coming out party for me for what Drake May is. New England hoped he would be better than Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels, with him falling to number 3. He looks the part. That quarterback draft, boy, if Caleb Williams turns out to be any good at all 3 of those guys have the chance to be unbelievable stars. But that was the biggest thing for me. Buffalo, we saw the cracks a little bit the last 2 weeks. I thought they were going to get it together. Focus, Sunday night, division opponent. They were unfocused last night. They turned the ball over a few times. Their defense didn't play well. And this opens up the AFC for the team we see tonight. Kansas City has a shot here to really put the foot back down in the AFC again. But Alex, that was the biggest thing for me yesterday. And then, boy, that Arizona game. Alex, about 800 different things had to happen for Arizona to blow that game outright, and 805 ended up happening. A disgusting loss for anyone who had it in Survivor. Maybe the worst Survivor loss ever with all that had to happen. If DeMercado just holds the ball for an extra half a yard, it's 28-6 with 13 minutes to go, and the game's completely over. Ward throws that pick, and then they fumble, and then Tyler Lockett recovers in the end zone for it's just so gross all the way around. And finally some Survivor carnage if you did not have Arizona or the Rams or Buffalo, for that matter. 3 of the top 5 go out in the biggest contest there, Alex.
A couple teams get their first win, including the Titans there. The Saints also found a way. The Panthers, second win for them. But really, Jeff, you and I were pretty off on 2 teams, and that's the New York Jets, who have not gotten a win yet, and the Las Vegas Raiders, who got beat pretty bad by the Colts yesterday.
Take the Raiders first here, Alex. Geno Smith is a disaster, and I don't know what's happened here, because you and I both thought, all right, you have an adult in the room and Pete Carroll coaching the team. You improve an offensive coordinator with Chip Kelly. You improve a quarterback with Geno Smith, and Geno Smith has been worse than Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. I won't throw Ritter in there because he was pretty bad, but Geno's been worse than both of those guys so far through the first 5 weeks. And yesterday was never competitive. Look, the Colts just might be really good. And Alex is working through my power rankings for this upcoming week. Indianapolis definitely into the top 10, and it might even go higher based off of what they've done so far this year. They did lose their kicker, Spencer Schrader, yesterday, which is not good. But the Raiders, look, the Jets are a lot further away than we expected, and Aaron Glenn is much worse than I expected. But I'm floored. I'm more surprised that the Raiders are this bad than the Jets are as bad as they are, just because the improvements that the Raiders made this offseason at coach and quarterback usually mean the team will improve. And looking back at it, there's always one or two what the heck happened here results in week 1. The Raiders over the Patriots sure looks like that right now, Alex. But the Raiders have a long way to go. And there's a question of, will Geno Smith even be here past this year if he doesn't turn it around sooner rather than later?
Of course, important to always watch and see with injuries, because, Colton Miller going down for them, and now their O-line just looks a mess. And we like to try and keep up on those as the week goes. And we'll talk about some injuries for Monday Night Football tonight later. But I want to touch on college football and what happened 2 days ago. Let's start with I'd say the biggest upset of the day, and that's UCLA finds a way to beat Penn State. I did not anticipate Penn State to go into that game not prepared like they were. Kind of a hangover from that Oregon loss.
There are a lot of things going on here, Alex. And if you told me going in, Penn State scored 37, I'd be like, all right, they probably won 37-21. They slept walked a little bit. Really, they scored 35 because the last 2 were on the safety at the end when UCLA was just trying to run the clock out. But this is, Alex, this is the most stunning loss I can remember. We're going back to when Stanford upset USC with Harbaugh over Pete Carroll almost 20 years ago now. If UCLA's 14-1 outright, I mean, UCLA is a 26-point underdog in this game, and UCLA was clearly the right side. I know Penn State ended up with better yards per play and such, but when the game was still a game, I mean, it was 27-7 at halftime, and it wasn't really even that competitive. They made Nico Amaliava look like a Heisman Trophy winner. Like, he was that good. And I got to credit Jerry Neuheisel, the first-time play caller, Rick's son, who called the game for UCLA on offense, did a brilliant job. Tim Skipper, who did a reasonable job up in Fresno as an interim last year. I mean, the fact that UCLA can win this game is just absolutely flabbergasting to me, Alex. And for Penn State, look, them and Texas are both unranked now in the AP top 25 poll. I know we'll get to Texas in a little bit because they have a huge one in Dallas this week against Oklahoma. But I thought Penn State was the best team in the country. I thought they had the most talent coming into the year. I was completely wrong. That defense is nowhere near as good as I thought. Aller is still an issue, even though I don't think he was the main issue. He was not the main issue for that loss. But that was the most shocking. That's going to be the most shocking upset of the year, period, for Penn State, who now has to win out in order to even have a sniff at the college football playoff. But they ain't going to Columbus and winning. They're probably not beating Indiana and State College at this point, Alex. They're probably heading for 8-4 and trying to figure out how to buy out James Franklin at the end of the year.
You brought up the box score, and you're right. Total yards, 435 for UCLA, 357 for Penn State, and yards per play, not that crazy, but time of possession was, and UCLA 39-17 to 20-43, and that's kind of the same story with Florida. The Gators hosting Texas, they needed a big win. They needed that bye week, and time of possession 34-7 for Florida to 25-53, and Texas now has 2 losses. And I agree that they should not be in the top 25. They probably shouldn't have been top 10 going into last week with 1 loss for each of them, and that is why they have now dropped so far. But what'd you make of this one? Big win for Billy Napier's team once again, like we typically see each year.
You know, it's kind of interesting because like Texas and Penn State, their upsets happen at the same time. So everybody was pinpointed on how could Penn State lose as a 26-point underdog or 26-point favorite against UCLA. I would argue Texas was actually much worse than UCLA because when they needed stops on defense, they didn't get it. Arch just looks Arch just doesn't look ready for the moment. Like, could he end up still being good? Yes, of course. He could still end up being a really good college quarterback. He could still end up being a first-round pick in the NFL draft in 2027. Heck, even if Texas wins out and it's a big turnaround that I just don't foresee happening, Arch could even be a first-round pick in this year's draft if things really turn. But there's really no reason to think that will happen, at least this year. And for Florida, Florida's so interesting, Alex, because they never should have lost that South Florida game. Like we know that. They never should have lost that game, even though the Bulls are a reasonable team. That was inexcusable what happened to them against South Florida. The other 2 losses are to Miami, who's arguably the best team in the country right now. And I know that game ended up being a 6-point margin, but that game really wasn't close with them against Florida State on Saturday night. And they lost in Death Valley to LSU when Lagway gave them no chance to win the game. Florida's much better than their record shows. And look, they play a murderer's row schedule. They're probably at best going to go 7-5, but that probably is enough to save Billy Napier's job. And I look at that first Saturday in November against Georgia as, hey, all of a sudden where Georgia, we talked about, hey, their schedule looks good. Yet a Texas game looks easier to get Ole Miss at home. That's no certainty to win that game in Jacksonville against Florida at this point, Alex. So that's really the biggest thing for me. It's more about Florida than Texas. Yeah, we overrated Texas going in. They're probably going to go 8-4, also miss the playoff, which will be a huge disappointment for preseason number 1. But Florida is going to be an extraordinarily difficult out, and they're going to play a role in how the SEC playoff teams play out, even if they're not one of them.
That is a very good point. And the bye week, they really needed it because they were too pass heavy, and we saw that DJ Lagway had a ton of interceptions, had the bye week, went to their run game, looked a whole lot better in that Texas game. It'll be interesting to see what we get. They have to go to College Station and face Texas A&M, who just did a number on Mississippi State as a 15 to a 17-point favorite there. So we'll see how real Elko's team is. I want to hit on a couple more, and you brought up Miami. Florida might be the best team in the country, and at this point, you could definitely make the argument that they are the most complete team. A big win over Florida State, as you mentioned, 28-22. But, 19 points for the Seminoles in the fourth quarter. That game was really not close throughout the entirety of it.
No, Miami is the best pass rush in the country. And that's really the main reason, more so than anything, why they might actually be able to get over the crystal ball factor here. And Carson Beck played great, played a complete game. He made smart decisions the whole way. This team is really, really good, Alex. And, I thinking about it this week, it's like, all right, we're into October. We can't really be thinking playoffs fully, but it would be quite the shocker at this point if Ohio State, Oregon, and Miami, if those three teams aren't in the college football playoff. And Texas Tech's getting pretty darn close with their evisceration of Houston on Saturday evening as well, with just how much better the Red Raiders are than everybody else is in that conference. Yep. But Miami, this Miami team going in, I had, that was one of the bets I gave out on the first Football Frenzy. Miami, about $2 to make the college football playoff. That looks so good right now. It was just a matter of will Mario Cristobal screw it up, because I thought they were the best team in the ACC by talent other than Clemson, which we were wrong on. And if they beat Notre Dame week 1, they had a great line to make the playoff, and they beat Notre Dame week 1. And they're probably going to go 12-0 in the regular season now. They are, Alex, still be number 3 in my power ratings, but they are much closer to Ohio State than they were, even with the Buckeyes thrashing Minnesota. They are much closer to them than they were heading into the weekend, Alex.
Yes. I just want to ask you one more question. You brought up Texas Tech, and I will just bring up fantastic win, 35-11 over Houston, where it looked like that spot was going to be really good for Willie Fritz's team. But, Texas Tech, 37-58 time of possession, 552 total yards to 267. So complete domination. We'll keep an eye on that team moving forward. Clearly the best in the Big 12. I want to ask who you think the best in the SEC is right now. Alabama with the big win over Vandy, and I know they got the cover late, but still 30-14, kind of flipped the script from last year, and they did control that game. Georgia, 35-14 win over Kentucky after the Bama loss. And then I brought up A&M, big win over Mississippi State. I didn't bring up Mizzou yet, and they have a big test coming up this weekend against Bama, but overall, where are you at right now with the SEC?
Rebels. Sticking with the Rebels. Had them number 4 in the power ratings going into last week. I think this is the most complete team Lane has had. We talked about the switch to Trinidad Chambliss has really made that offense even more explosive. I understand that Arkansas had a shot to beat them a few weeks ago, but look, it happens. You're in the SEC. Even the bad teams are going to punch up every once in a while. But I have Ole Miss as the best team. Alabama just keeps rising. I owe Ty Simpson an apology. He has been spectacular the last few weeks. Alabama-Mizzou is a ginormous game that's coming up on Saturday, because Mizzou's 5-0. I think they're real, but there seems to be this slow motion with the pollsters. The bookmakers definitely aren't as slow with it, because I saw 4s on that game. I was kind of shocked that game at 3 at the South Point. Now, I'm kind of shocked that game has come in so low or so tight. I thought Alabama was going to be pushing a touchdown in this game. So the bookmakers obviously respecting Missouri a lot more than the pollsters are. But Ole Miss, Georgia, Bama are still the top 3 to me in that league. If Mizzou wins, Mizzou vaults into that category. But I think Mizzou is number 4 right now. I think they're clearly ahead of the teams that lost this weekend. And then LSU and Mizzou are pretty even. So there's going to be 4 playoff teams out of the SEC this year, Alex. It's just going to be a matter of how we get to that with 4 teams 10-2 and better when it's all said and done.
I have to agree. I would be shocked if we didn't have 4 from the SEC. Excited to talk with Dennis Evans about that Mizzou game coming up this weekend as well. Later on in the show, of course. Let's get to some baseball. We're talking about all the crazy outcomes just in football over the weekend. We had some wild ones on the diamond as well. The Blue Jays take the first 2 from the Yankees, and not even really close. Vlad is 6 for 7 in the ALDS, and the entire Yankees team is 6 for 44. That was a good tweet. I'll have to find out who that was and give them credit. But pretty remarkable there. But let's start with the National League, because we've got 2 games on deck here. Cubs, Brewers, Brewers take game 1, 9-3 win for them. Cubs will throw out Shota Imanaga. And the Brewers doing something a little interesting. We'll have Aaron Ashby start, and then Quinn Priester get the primary spot there. What are you looking at in this one, Jeff? You like anything? I said to you off air, I'm pretty shocked that we've got a 7.5. We've got to expect runs from both sides, right?
I would have expected an 8 for sure, and you see 7.5 juice to the over now as the move. I mean, Imanaga was much better in that wild card game appearance, even though that was the game the Cubs lost in round 1. I'm a little perplexed on why the Brewers just aren't going with Quinn Priester the whole way here and just using an opener and Ashby for an inning or two and then going with Priester. I think that's very unnecessary, more so than anything. I would only go over in this game. I mean, the Brewers did it by themselves. I mean, that game, talk about game being over. That game 1 was over. Michael Busch hits the homer. Oh, the Cubs have the good vibes. Maybe they steal game 1, and then nope. That game was over as soon as the Brewers put a few across in the first inning. What a beatdown in game 1. But I would lean to the over, and I do kind of like the Brewers as well to take a 2-0 series lead. But I'm going to stay off of this. Was looking for a little bit better than a minus 130 price.
Side is really tough here because you're right. I did like what we saw from Shota Imanaga, especially coming off of that rough start against the Mets. Looked much better in the wild card. Getting plus 115 with the Cubs, but man, if you want to go offense, it's definitely all Brewers there with the advantage in that one. So lean to the over for me as well. Let's go to Dodgers Phillies. Dodgers steal game 1, 5-3 win for them. And we got 2 more lefties, Blake Snell going for the Dodgers and Jesus Luzardo. Right now, the Dodgers are a rightful $1.25 favorite on the road, total 7.5.
Yeah, right team favored, and that was a gut punch for Philadelphia where you get the lead early, and then your bullpen gives it up. We talked about it. The one concern with the Phillies, even with Wheeler out, we still trusted their starters. It was their bullpen, and Matt Strom gives up the 3-run bomb to Teoscar on Saturday night, and the Dodgers aggressive with their starters out of the bullpen with Glasnow and Suzuki. Again, Roki Suzuki might end up just being an elite closer when this is all said and done, Alex. Yeah. I would only bet the Dodgers. I know that the Phillies have an amazing home field, but boy, that felt like a gut punch to lose game 1. Kind of like last year in the NLDS, right? Where they have the game with Wheeler on the mound. They have the lead going to the 8th against the Mets. They lose that one. They go on to lose the series in 4. And this could very easily be a 3-game sweep at this point, 4 max. I don't think this series is coming back to Philadelphia. Dodgers win tonight, and I actually think the Dodgers close this thing out on Wednesday evening as well and sweep and get some rest because the Cubs, I do think, will take a home game or 2 off Milwaukee.
It is tough to go against Blake Snell. He's given up 1 earned run in his last 3 starts. So 2 scoreless and then Arizona too. So it's going to be a tough one. Maybe backs against the wall. Phillies want to get one back at home. I could try and make the case for the dog there, but got to get some better pitching from their bullpen definitely in that one. All right, one more game, big game tonight. Chiefs seem to have turned it around, win 2 in a row. Huge 37-20 win over Baltimore. And Jacksonville 3-1 to start the year. They're a home dog here, catching 3.5, total 45.5.
Gigantic game all of a sudden in the AFC, right, Alex? Where Baltimore are going to be 1-5 after this weekend, more likely than not, assuming Lamar doesn't come back this week. Their defense is in shambles. The Bills lose last night. The Chargers have lost 2 in a row. The Colts are 4-1. Jacksonville's 3-1 with that awful loss to Cincy mixed in. This is a huge game all of a sudden for both of these teams, where if KC gets out of the 0-2 hole, wins 3 straight, they'd be tied for the division lead with the Chargers. This is a huge game. I lean to the dog taking the points, the 3.5 with Jacksonville. I'm curious. There was that weird thing last night with Xavier Worthy where he got off the plane and his ankle was swollen, so he's questionable all of a sudden. We've seen the difference with the Chief offense with and without him so far this year. They were maybe it was the Baltimore defense, but they were explosive last week with Worthy in there. They had not been explosive at all, other than a few deep shots to Tyquan Thornton the first 3 weeks. But I like Jacksonville. I think this is a coming out game for Trevor Lawrence and that offense. against Kansas City in front of the whole country, kind of like Drake May last night. I like the Jags plus 3.5. I think this is a field goal game one way or the other, Alex.
I don't like that, Xavier Worthy. I missed that. I'm going to have to look into that more. I am on the other side with the Chiefs here, but I like the under even more, and I think we're okay. It's been bet down. There were some 47s out earlier and 46, but I think we're still okay here at 45.5. As you mentioned, I mean, both of them have seen lesser defenses. So I think both defenses will definitely step up in this one. Jeff, any final thoughts for you from this past weekend or looking ahead to this coming up weekend in football or baseball?
I don't think we can power it to Ravens anymore, Alex. I think that's we didn't mention that earlier, where that game was never competitive. And boy, sometimes you just get a season from hell, and that's just what's happening for Baltimore with all those injuries on defense, on top of Lamar getting hurt. Look, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to end up being the biggest beneficiary of the Burrow and the Baltimore injuries for those two teams. And for Houston, a big win. Like you had to find a way to win that game. I mean, they won by 34, and it really wasn't even that competitive. That was one game we didn't mention earlier that did stand out to me. And boy, you could have cashed a reasonable price on the Jets to be the last winless as well, Alex, because New Orleans and Tennessee were the two favorites. New Orleans took advantage of the 4 consecutive turnovers by the Giants. I still don't know how Tennessee managed to win that game. But yeah, good for anyone who has that ticket on the Jets. And I don't know. It depends on how the book decides to do it with the last undefeated, because the Bills and the Eagles go down in the same day. Right.
Yeah, that is going to be tough. I was wondering that same thing just because the Bills were the later game. But, I mean, credit to the Broncos, too. That was a huge comeback in the fourth quarter to get that big win over the Eagles. So, but yeah, you're right about the Ravens. It looks bad, and I was pretty surprised that they couldn't get Derrick Henry going. I mean, even though he scored a touchdown, besides that, I mean, to see his yards per carry it's pretty brutal there. But you're back tomorrow. We'll go through our top 10 for college football, and Chris Felica is joining us to break down some college football.
Yep, absolutely. Looking to have the bear on. Hopefully, Alex, I hope to be back in the studio tomorrow. But yeah, we'll let's plan on it. You, me, and the bear tomorrow on the show will be a good one.
Yes, very good. Thank you, Jeff. Feel better. We'll see you hopefully in studio. For everybody who is watching us on the YouTube channel, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a 1-minute break. We come back. Dennis Evans joins me to break down the Kansas City Chiefs Jaguars game tonight.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
Ready to bet smarter? Get sports betting tips straight from the South Point Hotel and Casino.
I like the Commanders at 3.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
The wise guys were all over Florida last week, and they're against Florida this week. That's not a common pattern.
I think these teams could score a lot. I would look at the over.
I'm very high on Tampa Bay. I think they can go there and they can win this game.
Subscribe for free to Sports by the Book on YouTube. Your winning edge starts now.
Live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. Thank you to Jeff for hopping on with us and breaking down today's action. Speaking of today's action, I told you at the top we had a special guest today. Dennis Evans joins us, sports reporter for KMBC in Kansas City. We're going to talk all things Chiefs, and I'm excited to hear his thoughts from the start of the season to what we saw last week against the Baltimore Ravens, getting Xavier Worthy back. So let's bring him in. Dennis, how are you? Are you in Jacksonville?
I am in the Duval. I'm here in Duval County. So you guys will have to forgive me. I'm such a rookie. I don't even know how to silence my phone. So I was trying to put on the do not disturb, and that didn't work out very well. So, but yeah, I'm down here in Jacksonville, got in on Saturday. And, it's funny. The thing about covering the Kansas City Chiefs is they've turned into kind of like the Dallas Cowboys, kind of like the Raiders are when it comes to traveling. But so many people have turned into Chiefs fans that when I landed back here in Jacksonville, there was so much red in the airport because Chiefs fans travel from everywhere. To them, it's like a little break to be able to come down to Florida. It's Monday Night Football, and you can't really get tickets in Kansas City. They know they can come down here and they can get tickets. So I bet you're going to see a stadium tonight in Jacksonville, if not half full, at least 40% full of Chiefs fans that are that are either local or have made the trip here to watch the Chiefs, and maybe even to them see Taylor Swift, I'm sure.
See, and that's a good point. We need to know those things because typically, you've got the home field advantage. But, Jacksonville doesn't really get a big home field advantage anyways. But good to know, Kansas City. And, yes, I'm sure Taylor Swift did get a few more people to become Chiefs fans as well.
Right, just a couple.
Just a couple, that's right. Curious your thoughts. I kind of touched on it. 0-2 start. A lot of people kind of wrote off the Chiefs. You could get pretty good prices, even to win the division, to win the AFC. A lot of us find ourselves kind of just trying to pick which team. Is it the Bills? Is it the Ravens? Who's going to be able to beat the Chiefs and represent the AFC? Now 2 wins in a row. They're 2-2. How's everybody feeling there in Kansas City, and how were they feeling with the 0-2 start?
I think right now there's a little bit of trepidation still when it comes to the Chiefs. The one thing we know is it's not going to be the Ravens that beat them. We're not going to have to worry about the Ravens at all. That's done. They're going to be wondering what pick they're going to be getting high in the draft the way that they're playing right now. But at the start of the season, you worried about, you always just in Kansas City, you start the season and you're thinking about the Buffalo Bills. You're thinking about the Cincinnati Bengals. You're thinking about the Ravens. And of those teams so far, you don't have to worry about the Bengals. You don't have to worry about the Ravens. And for a while, it was looking like you really weren't even going to have to worry about the Chiefs. The hardest thing about being, I hate to use the D word, but to kind of have that mini dynasty going that they have now is every year you come back, you're bringing new players into the mix. You can't keep everyone because the guys want to go get their money. They're like, I've got my championship. Now, I want to be able to go and get my money. Covering the NFL for a while now, I've always said one of the most difficult things is when you go to a Super Bowl and you don't win, or if you go to an AFC championship game and you don't win, because as much as players don't want to admit it, they spend that whole offseason replaying that game in their head, And if you're the Chiefs, you started the season saying all the right things. You're like, it's a new season. We forgot about the Super Bowl, but really all you want to do is get through this regular season, make it to the playoffs, and get back to be able to replay that Super Bowl game that you totally bombed. So I think they did have a little bit of Super Bowl loss hangover, mixed into the fact that Rashee Rice got injured. I'm sorry, not injured, but he got suspended for 6 games. And then you have Xavier Worthy, who gets injured early in the game against San Diego. So now you have to completely throw out the game plan that you had, that you had prepared. And so I think they just kind of got off to a little bit of a rough start. But if you watch the way they've played, they know how. The one thing I'll give them, they just still know how to win football games. I don't know that they're the most talented team in the AFC. I like what Denver's doing. I think the Chargers are still good. But I think this is going to be a test on the road at Jacksonville and playing against a really tough defense, something that they didn't have to face against the Giants and something they definitely didn't have to face against the Ravens.
Well, let's talk about the offense that we saw last week against the Ravens. Spread it out more, right? 5 receivers had at least 5 receptions. Patrick Mahomes had 4 passing touchdowns, and to 4 different receivers. Is that something they're looking to do moving forward?
Yeah, that's been their plan all along. Is they have a very deep receiver room. Even if you take Rashee Rice out of the mix, who is going to be their best receiver, they have a really deep room, and they have veterans. When you can get a guy like a Juju Smith-Schuster, Juju is not a guy who's going to beat someone in man-to-man covers. That's just not going to happen. But he knows how to find his places in the zone. Then you have Travis, who can find his places in the zone underneath. What was missing before was Xavier Worthy, was a Rashee Rice, was the speed to be able to take the ball downfield, take the top off the defense, and open it up underneath for those guys to get settled into those little spots in the zone and to be able to make those catches. And when you have that speed out there, that changes everything. I mean, I'm still amazed by watching Xavier Worthy. We heard about the speed coming out of University of Texas. We saw a little bit of it last year, but now he's learning to change his routes a little bit. And, he's listed as questionable for this game. He's going to play, but, he had some ankle issues and that shoulder was still a little bit sore. But when you get him and he can get downfield early and catch a pass, now the defense has to completely change the way that they're thinking. And once those guys are worried about him going deep, it opens everything up underneath. And you still have who a year ago was their top free agent signee, Hollywood Brown.
Yep.
Not even counting him, but you get all of those guys going underneath and Xavier being able to take it off the top. And then the other guy that has really changed things is Tyquan Thornton, a guy who was drafted by the Patriots, completely bombed in New England. He admits that, the media up there got in his head and he started overthinking things a little bit. And before he knew it, he's like, he wasn't playing like himself. He's gotten a completely fresh start in Kansas City, and he's a speedster. So you get him out there and you get Xavier Worthy. And I mean, the Chiefs can change things by having those guys. The question is, how do they do that against a little bit better defense tonight against Jacksonville? And how do they do that throughout the season? Because I really don't think Baltimore was a true test of what they're going to see.
They will have a test tonight. I want to ask you one more question about the Chiefs offense before we get into the Jaguars. What about their run game? It's tough to see Isaiah Pacheco, who is just not the same since last year's injury. I know they're trying to get Kareem Hunt involved in there too, but that seems to be a little bit of the struggle from the offensive side.
That's a big part of it. But you're also, keep in mind, the entire left side of the offensive line is new. You have Kingsley Suamataia, you have Josh Simmons. So you have 2 new guys on that side of the line. And while, they're actually doing good on pass protection, although Patrick's having to get the ball out a little bit quicker than he has in the past, they're not getting the push that they've really expected on that side to be able to run the ball. I can also say Pacheco, just to me, doesn't seem like he has that explosiveness, that full-blown explosiveness and that angry run that he had before he injured. I mean, if you look at his legs, you can see the difference in the size of his legs between the regular leg and the injured leg. So what they were hoping is that by Worthy being back and Thornton, once you show a little bit more of a deep threat, then maybe they can get the run going a little bit. And they had a little bit more of it, but I've said my question/problem with the running attack, and I think we saw it at the end of last year when Kareem Hunt came in and Isaiah Pacheco came back. I don't think the 2 of them exist very well together in the backfield. I think both of those guys are guys who are rhythm runners. They need the rock. It's like, feed me, let me get going, and then I'll do it. And I think trying to split the carries up between the 2 of them, it's like diminishing returns. I think they end up getting less out of both of those guys instead of fresher running backs coming in. I think they should pick one guy, go with that guy, and let him do what he's going to do.
I think you just nailed it, actually. I've been trying to figure that out for a while, and that is what it looks like. They can't get in their rhythm when they're going back and forth. So that's very interesting. I'm curious on the other side, though, because Travis Etienne has definitely gotten his rhythm going this year. 394 yards on the year, 6.1 yards per carry. What do we expect from him? Can the Chiefs slow him down and Travis Lawrence and company? And are you excited, just as a fan, to see Travis Hunter playing tonight?
No, that I really am. I think the Chiefs' run defense is improved. The one thing I will say about Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs' defensive coordinator, he's one of those guys that's in that sense very Bill Belichick. What he does is he'll pick something and say, "This is what you do best. We're going to make you do something else." So you go back and you look at the Ravens game. They decided very early on, the Ravens came out that first series and they just ran it down their throat. And they said, okay, deal with that. Well, how do you adjust? He's a guy who knows how to adjust. He adjusted and he said, okay, we're going to take that away from you. And I guarantee you can't beat us with the pass. And they couldn't. So if the Jags come into this game and their plan is to try to run Travis, I don't think it's going to work because you need a different type of running back than what he is. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can do a few things, but I don't think he's a guy that you can run straight at this Chiefs defense. They move too well side to side, and I think they'll stop him. For them to be able to get him going, they're going to have to be able to get the pass going. I mean, you have to be balanced if you're going to beat the Chiefs. That's what the Eagles did in the Super Bowl. They ran the ball at him and overpowered him, but then they also threw it well. And I think you also have to have a mobile quarterback. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is really mobile enough to be able to be a threat to the Chiefs defense. So I think Spags is probably, I don't know his exact game plan, but he takes whatever you do best. He takes that away from you and then says, okay, let's see you beat me with whatever we have left. So I think, and a part of that, you talked about Hunter. I love him as a football player. Jacksonville's excited about him. They have not had down here that caliber of a player. You drafted Leonard Fournette years ago, but other than that, the Jaguars have focused a lot on defensive guys, mainly in the draft, other than drafting Trevor Lawrence. So I think people are excited to see, him be able to get going as a wide receiver. And I think, it's going to be fun. If they can find more creative ways to get him the ball, get him involved in the offense, and really make the defense have to start thinking about him. I think the Jags they have a really good football team because we know they have a good D.
I am excited to see it too because I don't think I've fully watched a Jacksonville game now. Standalone game here against the Chiefs on Monday night. I'm excited to see what they have. Do you think they're real? Do you think they could win their division? From what you've seen so far?
The Jags?
The Jags, yeah.
Indianapolis is playing some really good football. That takes me back to when I was here and I was doing the Jags broadcast. Back during that time, Peyton Manning was in Indianapolis and the Colts were really good. The Colts were a really good football team, and the Jags that was always their test. Those were the old Jack Del Rio football teams that had Byron Leftwich and Marcus Stroud and John Henderson and Fred Taylor and those guys, and they would play really good games against Indianapolis. So my problem with the Jaguars has been they just don't win big games. They don't win big games. Whenever it comes to, and that's even going into a game like this, they just haven't stepped up. They came off of, it's 2 years ago, that crazy come from behind playoff win against the Chargers. Yeah. They won that game. They came to Kansas City, and they just look, It's like there's something about winning culture. There's something about winning football. And when I look at the Jaguars, I don't see winning football. I see a team that's good, so they're going to win some games. But when it comes to a Monday night football game against a team that's been to the Super Bowl 3 or 4 years in a row, you have to play winning football and not be afraid to punch them in the mouth. And I don't see that in the Jaguars culture. If they prove it tonight, then I think we start to view them a little bit differently for the rest of the season. But history has dictated they just don't play well in that big game. Just when they start teasing you and you start thinking, man, you know what? Maybe the Jags are real. You're like, same old Jags. This is the Jags. It's a big game and they didn't show up. So I need them to show me something different tonight at home against the Chiefs.
And to your point, so far this year, they do have some of the most penalties out of any team in the NFL, and they are winning the turnover battle in every game so far this season. And it's not going to be that easy to get the takeaways from the Chiefs and this offense, but we'll see tonight. Do you have a prediction for us, a final score prediction?
The final score, I would definitely say the Chiefs by a touchdown. At least Chiefs by 6 to 7. I think they're just going to come out and they're going to beat the Jags. I mean, they would have to play uncharacteristic Chiefs football. And the one thing we've seen a year ago, Patrick Mahomes was turning the ball over. He's not turning the ball over now. They're not a team that's going to fumble away a game. They're not going to. You have to beat the Chiefs. They're not just going to just give you the game away. So I say the Chiefs did definitely by a touchdown. And I see a game that's probably going to be like, I could see the Jags putting up 14 points. I could see the Chiefs putting up like 20 to, like 27, somewhere in that area. But I think the Chiefs definitely by at least a touchdown.
I think we're on the same page there. That's where I was leaning. And a little bit, I think that 45.5 might be a little high. I do.
Yeah, I agree.
Defenses here. So we'll see. Before I let you go, and I really appreciate you hopping on with us or hopping on with me to talk over this game, I have to ask you about Missouri. Huge game coming up this week. They're 5-0. Kind of a funny spot for Alabama. They beat Georgia. They get their revenge on Vandy, and now they have to go take on this Mizzou Tigers team. What's the vibes around this undefeated team right now?
You know what? There's a lot of excitement, but at the same time, Missouri has played, and this is the crazy thing about college football. Missouri has played 5 games so far this season, and they've played them all at home. I mean, who ever heard of anything like that? Like, you're playing your first 6 games, and you've never even left your stadium. So I'm glad that they're getting a chance to play at Mizzou. That crowd is going to be crazy. Mizzou fans want so badly to be legitimized in the SEC, even though they've been to the SEC championship game twice since they've been, in the conference. They still don't feel 100% legit in the SEC. You're not legit until you beat Bama or a team like that, one of the top tier teams, and they need this win. Mizzou has, over the past few years, slowly but surely, Coach Drinkwitz has been building talent. They have the money now. I mean, like everyone else, you buy players and you stack a roster. What Vanderbilt ran into last week against Alabama was, sorry about that. I had to hit the not disturb, but they ran out of players. Mizzou is not going to run out of players. And so I think this is going to be a win for them. I really think Mizzou has the players to be able to match up and to be able to beat Alabama.
A really big game for both quarterbacks. Ty Simpson, we've seen him look much better since his first game with Bama, where they lost to Florida State. Now he's got some big wins under his belt. Bo Prabula on the other side comes over from Penn State, and it seems like everybody's very excited, and he's done nothing but great things so far for the Tigers.
Yeah, he has. And, the quarterback that's an upgrade for Missouri to get a quarterback like him. But of all those guys, I mean, I like both of those quarterbacks. The difference to me is going to be Hardy. It's that running back for Mizzou. They got this kid, and that's the new way of college football. You can go get a kid like him who was barely recruited out of high school, who comes to, and plays at like Louisiana Lafayette or wherever he played, and then he comes to Missouri. The balance that he has, the way that he's running a ball, if he were playing for Alabama, I promise you right now, he would be considered the top front runner for the Heisman Trophy. That's how he's playing. He's playing at Missouri. They haven't played tough competition. So when he does this on a national stage, and if he can do this against an Alabama defense, man, there's going to be a lot of talk about this kid, because he is an amazing running back, and he's made Bo Prabula's job a whole lot easier for Mizzou. Alabama, coming off that game, that's back-to-back big emotional games for them. And then you got to get that emotion going again to go on the road to Columbia, which I'm sure in their minds, like, it's Mizzou. Last time we played them a couple of years ago, they were supposed to be tough, and we beat them 24-0. This could be one of those games that I think Alabama gets surprised by what they're going to find when they get to Columbia, Missouri.
I'm glad you did bring up Hardy. 9 touchdowns on the year, 730 rushing yards, 7.1 yards per carry for him. This should be a huge game, but if you can see under our lower third here, the spread is 3. I mean, the bookmakers are giving Mizzou a lot of respect coming into this, and kind of with Vandy as well, just 10.5 point difference there, and Vandy almost covered. So would you say the SEC is kind of getting more compressed, not so top heavy, right? Everybody's very talented.
Absolutely, and I mean that's what money does. I mean, just put it out there. I mean, Alabama's they've had NIL going for years, and so now the rest of the conference has NIL. So players are looking. I mean, Bama used to be able to stack them so deep, like their backups were like the backup to the backup was a 5-star. You can't do that anymore. Guys leave like guys will look at it and say, if I can't play here, I can go somewhere else. I can play and I can get money. So you've got guys going to schools like Missouri. Missouri is continually, starting to sign those 4- and 5-star players. And when you start to get the same talent, before teams would have to hope that they could catch Bama on an off day, they could catch Georgia on an off day. Now teams are like, no, we can line up with you, and our players are just as good as you. Mizzou's defensive line is very good. Bama has good D-line. Missouri has good D-line. You've got Trotter, at linebacker for Mizzou. He's a solid Division I SEC linebacker. And I mean, that's what you didn't have at a lot of these schools, even at Vanderbilt and those places. They didn't have those kind of players. Now other people have them, and I think it's that the conference is a lot less top heavy, which makes it fun. It makes it fun to watch. It really has, to me, made college football a lot more fun to watch now, because you, from week to week, I mean, betting on it, it's a nightmare because you don't know from week to week. But as far as just actually watching and enjoying the games, they are a lot of fun to watch.
I mean, there is no bad Saturdays anymore. You have a ton of good matchups every single Saturday, and it's been a lot of fun. Before I let you go, I do want to ask, because last time you were on Punchlines with myself and Frank Nicotero. No, it was probably a few times before, because you've been on with Frank. But you had some card trouble, and I wanted to check in and see how everything was going.
Card trouble. And so my joke has been, I'm like, if God wants me to get a bus pass or a bike, I wish he would just send me a text message and quit sending me the signs. Since the original stolen car,
that's right.
I had my Jeep Grand Cherokee stolen, had a second one stolen like 4 months after that. And again, it's not like I'm living in a neighborhood where, it's just what it is. So I'm like, I'm done with those. They're just too easy to steal. I hate to say, just PSA to everyone, those are very easy cars to steal. And the thieves, it's crazy. Who knew? Like, they know how to reprogram a key by lifting your door handle, and they can just take your car. So I was done with those.
So two
I'm
Gs,
like, I'm
okay.
on to something new. Two Jeep Grand Cherokees, nice, but stolen. And I'm like, I'm on to something else. So I got an Audi, and I'm like, you know what? Difficult car to take, really nice. I'm enjoying this car. I'm just figuring out like how to connect the Bluetooth and those basic things in the car. I kid you not, I'm driving down the road the other day, just listening to my music. A deer comes out of nowhere, plow right into the side of the car. So my insurance company, I think, is going to total the car. So I'm going to be going on car number 4 in less than a year.
Oh my gosh, Dennis.
In less than 1 year, going on car number 4.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. That is awful.
We need to win some money here. I'm going to be watching the show every day, taking notes. We need to win some money around these parts to try to recoup these losses.
Oh my gosh. Is it terrible if I ask if the deer's okay?
You know what? I circled back around. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't circle back around. I was going to do some chest compressions on him just to see how the fellow was working out. But I mean, whatever the cost is, I'm fairly sure he's like my car. He's total. I'm fairly sure both are total losses.
Oh my gosh, Dennis. I'm sorry to hear that. I wish you the best of luck with your fourth car. Next time we have you on here, I hope to hear nothing but great things.
We will check. We'll check and see how it is. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the game tonight, everybody. Dennis Evans from KMBC, sports reporter in Kansas City. Thank you so much for joining me today. That was fantastic. We got a lot of good information on the Chiefs and the Jags, and I'm looking forward to this game tonight. I'm going to take one more 1-minute break. When I get back, we're going to check in with trivia. We've got a poll, and I have some whiteboard bets coming up for you in 1 minute.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone.
Ready to bet smarter? Get sports betting tips straight from the South Point Hotel and Casino.
I like the Commanders at 3.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
The wise guys were all over Florida last week, and they're against Florida this week. That's not a common pattern.
I think these teams could score a lot. I would look at the over.
I'm very high on Tampa Bay. I think they can go there and they can win this game.
Subscribe for free to Sports by the Book on YouTube. Your winning edge starts now.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. Sports by the Book, live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. I'm Alex White. I'll be back again for the next 4 days, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., Monday through Friday. Back again Friday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. for Football Frenzy. We're going to check in with the chat. We always like to put a trivia on the ticker to see who could answer first, kind of give you guys something fun as we go through the show. We've got a hockey one today, which I'm excited about. It is about the Vegas Golden Knights. And as always, it is brought to you by City Light Shine. You can get these here at the South Point in the gift shop. A lot of different flavors. Here's strawberry banana for this one. So City Light Shine trivia. Here we go. Hockey. The Vegas Golden Knights made their NHL franchise debut on October 6, 2017, winning their first contest over the Dallas Stars 2-1. In the young franchise's history, who are the all-time leaders? 1 in goals, 2 in assists, and 3 in points. The answer: in 8 seasons of play thus far, Vegas 2023 Conn Smythe winner Jonathan Marchessault currently leads the franchise in points with 417, as well as goals with 192. Shea Theodore currently leads in assist with 273, and forward William Karlsson, Wild Bill, currently stands second in all 3 categories. Very good trivia there by Vince. I love that one. Wild Bill, yeah, remember that first year, 2017, it was Knights and the over. And I remember Wild Bill having a few hat tricks that year. So good question there. We did have a poll. Which first touchdown scorer prop are you taking tonight? Couple options here. Worthy plus 850, ETN 7-1, Kelsey plus 950, or Brian Thomas Jr. at 12-1. Travis Etienne Jr. at 7-1, 43% of the votes. I think that is a pretty good option there. As I kind of went over with Dennis, run game has struggled a little bit with the Chiefs. If you're looking for a running back, going for the guy on the other side who's having an outstanding start to the season in Travis Etienne. That's it for me for today. I am going to show my whiteboard here. Didn't confidently say this pick on the show with Jeff, but I'm going to take a shot here with the Cubbies. Game 2 against the Brewers. I do believe that there's a pitching advantage with Shota Imanaga. So getting a plus price there, I think this should be closer to a pick. And then I'm also on the Chiefs tonight, -3.5 on the road against the Jags. The Jags have had the 6th easiest schedule. The Chiefs have had the 6th toughest. I just think this is a big step up in class. I think Kansas City has figured some things out offensively. Gonna hope Xavier Worthy is 100% tonight because he was a big difference maker for that offense. That's it for me for today. I'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. with myself, Chris Felica. The Bear joins me, and hopefully Jeff Parles feels better, and we'll be back here at the desk. Thank you to everybody behind the scenes. Thank you to everybody who's watching live. Thank you for anybody who is catching the replay. We appreciate you here from the South Point studio. This has been Sports by the Book.